In Gnostic spiritual traditions, it was believed that spirit was trapped within matter, and that the purpose of gnosis, or knowledge, specifically knowledge of self, was to learn how to liberate spirit from the confines of matter. And then once one learned how to liberate spirit from matter, then spirit ultimately wielded power over matter. So once one learned how to achieve this, then they allowed miracles to unfold within their experience. And they also achieved a certain level of mastery within themselves. Now, another way to look at this dynamic between spirit and matter is that spirit represents the reality of our deeper interconnectedness, whereas to matter represents the gap that we perceive between ourselves and others. So what we're actually talking about when we're talking about liberating spirit from matter is integrating the reality of our true interconnectedness while still participating in the dynamic of relationship. And so in this, we must learn, how do I treat myself as other and other as myself? And so this leads us to probably the most important question that you will ever ask yourself in your life, which is, how do I celebrate my true authenticity while at the same time have the most positive and meaningful impact upon the lives of others? How do I celebrate myself while having the most positive impact upon the lives of others? And there's a feeling state that guides us into this mode of operation. And it is the state of inspiration. So inspiration is the golden thread that actually leads us to operating from within the reality of our deeper interconnectedness, while still remaining in the dynamic of relationship. If you operate from the place of your deepest inspiration, you'll start to notice that reality becomes more malleable. And when you start to operate from your deepest inspiration, you may not know, what the outcome's going to be or how you're going to reach your end goal. But if you just operate from that place, you'll start to notice your circumstances shifting to conspire to support you in what you're doing. So you might meet somebody out of the blue that might come and offer you some amazing opportunity, and you might meet someone else that might come and provide you with this other open door, and all these things line up to support you. If you've ever noticed that, that's because spirit wields power over matter. Now, I would like to share a personal story surrounding this theme. So, many of you may know, many of you may not know, that I used to be an academic classical guitarist. That's what I thought my career was going to be for several years. And during this phase of my life, I was highly competitive. Highly competitive. And I wanted to enter into these guitar competitions, and I wanted to get into these prestigious music schools, and just very in a competitive mode of operation. And I used to practice guitar somewhere between 4 to maybe 8 hours a day. 2 to 3 of those hours were devoted solely to technical exercises just to get my hands moving in a proficient level. So I was sort of in this mindset of being an Olympic athlete, except it was with classical music. And so there was this one guitar player that I totally loved, that I really idolized. And he was this acoustic guitar fingerstyle virtuoso. His name is Pierre Bensouzon, in case anybody is actually curious as to who I'm talking about specifically. And not only was he just this amazing musician, but he wrote some of the most beautiful music that I had ever heard in my life. It was like he was in touch with this really deep reservoir of soul, of spirit within himself. And it was almost miraculous the way that he could express himself through the guitar. It was just, he was in touch with this deeper level of magic with these compositions that would come out of him. It was amazing. And I had the opportunity to see him live at this music school in front of all of these music students. And after his concert, which was totally mind-blowing, by the way, he was taking questions from the audience. And I rose my hand to ask him a question. And he called on me. And my question was, how many hours a day should I practice? And how many of those hours should be devoted to technical exercises in order for me to become a master? How many hours should I practice? How many of those hours should be devoted to technical exercises for me to become a master? And he totally laughed at my question. He was like, what? Like, are you seriously asking me that? How many hours should you practice? How many hours of technique should you practice? That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous question. If you really want to become a master, then you know what you should do. Go where there is pleasure. Go where there is joy. Sensitize yourself to the aliveness of what inspires you and follow that inspiration to the ends of the earth. That's how you become a master. And so this was a very difficult answer for me because I knew if I took his advice, then it would leave me giving up everything that I was working so hard to achieve. Because I knew if I just followed my inspirations, my deeper inspirations, then it would cause me to not be so hard on myself with regards to my instrument. And I knew that I wouldn't be able to compete in these competitions or get into these music schools. I knew that I wasn't going to be proficient enough if I let all of that go and followed my deeper inspirations. So it was ironic because I went to this guitar master and I asked him, how do I master the guitar? And his answer ultimately led me to putting down the guitar altogether, at least in the highly competitive way that I was playing it before. And I took a step into the unknown so that I could become sensitized to my deeper inspirations. And I had no idea where on earth it would lead me, but I will tell you that I wouldn't trade any of what I'm doing right now for the world. Sensitize yourself to what inspires you, and then follow that to the ends of the earth.